Good afternoon, dear friends. Thank you very much for attending our webinar, and I'm very excited to spend the next hour with you and to talk a little bit about our fantastic island. I will be very happy to answer any questions that you might have, because actually this is the whole point of our meeting. This is a chance to be able to talk, to hear your questions, to learn a little bit more about Cyprus, what are the opportunities here, and how we can help you obtain this amazing new lifestyle that Cyprus is offering. I welcome everyone who can join us online, but also everyone who will be watching this webinar later, the recorded version. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, I hope that it will be useful and that you will learn a little bit more about Cyprus. And as you know, we named our meeting Bring Some Sunshine into Your Life. And I think now, after such a difficult year, this is exactly what all of us want. We want some sunshine. We want to have a happy life. We want to enjoy every day of our life. And actually, Cyprus can be an amazing place to do exactly that. So today, we will talk about it. But first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Anastasia Yianni. I am CEO and partner of Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty. I've been living in Cyprus for the last 20 years, and all 20 years I've been involved in Cyprus real estate market. So I've been working with residential, commercial property, large-scale investment, immigration programs, and the big thing is that I really love real estate. I love real estate, I understand real estate, and I know how Cyprus market behaves during different cycles. Sotheby's Realty, International Realty, is connected to the auction house through the brand. And of course, all of you know that Sotheby's is the largest art business in the world and probably one of the oldest brands. The story of the brand started in 1744 and still is going very strong. Sotheby's International Realty started its history in 1976, and now it's one of the biggest real estate networks all over the world. I'm very proud, and it's an impressive fact that the brand is present in 75 countries. And here in Cyprus, we are operating since 2019, and our team is growing every month. We are running our business based on 4 principles. Expertise. We are your expert in Cyprus. We also try to be very efficient because we understand that the most precious resource that you have and we have is time. So we are always very specific, very professional, and very efficient with our work, with all our clients, with all our partners. We work based on the principles of ethics, and of course, being Sotheby's, we always follow the style. How do we work? We work all over Ireland. We can offer you properties all over our beautiful island. We work with developers and sellers, but we only work with the properties that passed strict due diligence checks for both developers and projects. We have some properties with high return, but also fantastic residential properties. It is very important to mention that in Cyprus, real estate is a licensed activity. So we are fully licensed agents that, again, are here to help you in your journey to choose or to find out about Cyprus. So because this is the first of our webinar series, in this webinar, I will provide lots of general information. And of course, we will be very happy and you're welcome. We invite you to ask any questions that you might have. So in our presentation, I will talk a little bit about Cyprus. Why Cyprus? What makes it special? Why would someone consider investing in Cyprus? And in our webinar, we have participants from all over Europe and non-Europe. We have people from many countries. So I will talk about lifestyle. Lifestyle is the same for everyone. But then when we move to permanent residency, we will be moving to immigration part. Because you know, it's one thing to buy a beautiful house and it's a different thing to be able to enjoy it and to reside in the country legally as much as you want to. And these parts will be different from our listeners from European countries and listeners from non-European countries. And of course, being a real estate agent, we will talk a little bit about real estate. So, let's start. Before we go forward, I want you to think and see what answer you will give to the following questions. Do you dream of a country with a mild climate and no pollution? Maybe you're worried about your family in the current pandemic. Maybe you're thinking about your children's future and education. Maybe you just want to live in Europe or feel that you're tired of it all and want a more relaxed lifestyle. Maybe you are thinking that you want to diversify your assets and don't want to keep everything in one country. Maybe you plan to expand your business to Europe, or just worried about the safety of your business in the country, or maybe, just maybe, you pay too much in taxes. So if you answered to any of these questions yes, then maybe Cyprus could be a solution. Maybe Cyprus could be a solution to all the worries, because Cyprus is a very safe place. When we think about the drivers, why would someone think of investing in Cyprus real estate? Then we try to put it into four main categories. The first one, of course, is a lifestyle. The second reason could be investment. Cyprus also offers very straightforward route to permanent residency, and it is a very good way of asset diversification and hedging against various risks. We will start our conversation with the lifestyle. Why would you consider Cyprus as a lifestyle destination? And let's start with the basics. Cyprus has 340 sunny days per year. And if you have visited Cyprus, you would also agree with me that the climate is very mild. In winter, it's sunny, it's about +15, +16. In summer, we might have a couple of weeks of very hot weather, but because we are by the sea and there is always a breeze, it's still a very comfortable place to stay. In Cyprus, we have no industry, which means that the pollution is very low. Cyprus is one of the best environmental areas in Europe, and the proof of this is that we have cleanest beaches in Europe. The culture in Cyprus is very hospitable. I myself, as a foreigner, I moved to Cyprus 20 years ago, and I can tell you that I never felt not welcome. Locals are very hospitable. They embrace all the cultures and they embrace people. Last year, we paid special attention to the healthcare, and Cyprus stood the very difficult year very well. Now with vaccination program, we are the third in Europe with the way of vaccination, the way that government handled the whole situation was absolutely amazing, and the mortality rate is one of the lowest in Europe. So again, now we start thinking, if we move somewhere, will the healthcare withstand possible storm? The other option is the geographical position. In our previous presentations, I remember very well that we would put Cyprus in the middle of Mediterranean Sea, and we would show it clearly that this is the island at the crossroads of 3 continents. It has easy connections to Europe, to Asia, to Middle East, so it's a very good hub. We have British law-based legal system where every land transaction is recorded, and it's very stable, and you can see all the transparent issues. Of course, the question is, how will I converse? Do I need to speak Greek? And I can tell you that English language is widely spoken, but at the same time, there are so many foreigners permanently living in Cyprus that every time you walk in Cyprus, you will hear different languages. It's also very important to say that if you actually move not just as a holiday house, that it's not going to be just a vacation house either for winter or the summer, and if you want to spend more time, it's important to know that Cyprus has amazing modern and legal system, and the government is very business oriented. Hence, we can see huge influx of international companies moving to Cyprus and arranging their headquarters in Cyprus. The level of professionalism and the cost of professional labor force is much lower than in the rest of Europe, which means that again, the movement of business or headquartering the business in Cyprus is a very efficient solution. If you move with a family, apart from healthcare, it's important to think about education. And education is excellent. Everyone has a choice. You can either go to a free education system where education is in Greek language, or there is variety of international school where all the curriculum is British based, and also everything is in English. The quality is excellent, and I have witnessed lots of families moving from all over the world with the main reason of putting their children to a good schools where their children get British education at the fraction of the cost. The country is very safe. Again, because we have listeners from many countries, I cannot pinpoint the situation in each particular country, but Cyprus has been voted one of the safest small countries in the world again and again. And even though sometimes we hear of small burglaries or some small incidents, compared to the rest of the world, it is the safe haven. It has advantageous tax system. It is very important to mention that Cyprus is not an offshore country. Cyprus is fully onshore with the full transparency, but the tax system is amazing. And in my presentation, I will touch base a little bit about that. And of course, we can discuss it more in the private consultations. Cyprus has rich heritage. Infrastructure is amazing, and there are lots of various lifestyle opportunities based on what you want. If you want to live by the sea, there is plethora of options. If you want to be next to the golf course, again, there are lots of different beautiful options, and the quality of real estate is growing every day. Now, let me talk a little bit about immigration programs and what will help me if you can type in the chat whether you are from European country or from non-European country, because based on that information, I will be able to maybe concentrate more on the aspects that are of interest. So I can see that we have people from Europe, Europe, UK, Israel. Okay. I will try to be brief, and actually the point of my presentation is not to give you all the answers, but to give you a taste of our beautiful island, and also the way how you can enjoy this lifestyle in a very easy way. And I will start with Europeans, because this is amazingly easy. Cyprus is part of EU, and as part of the European Union, all the members, all the citizens of Europe enjoy four main freedoms. And one freedom is freedom to move and freedom to reside in any European country. So if we have European nationals moving to Cyprus, either for the sake of taxes or business or lifestyle, the procedure is very simple. The procedure is that you will just, the normal time limit is about 4 months. So if within 4 months after entering Cyprus, you will make an appointment with a migration office, and we can assist with that. Then you submit a simple application and you get registration in Cyprus as a European citizen. This registration is called yellow slip, because actually the paper is yellow. So it's called yellow slip, and it is issued the same day when you submit application. And this registration allows you to live as long as you want to. It allows you to run business. It allows you to be employed. If we move to non-European, and from this year, United Kingdom is part of these categories as well, then we have 3 types of residence permits. The most popular immigration route is the so-called fast-track permanent residency permit. It's an amazing program, and it's the only country in Europe that gives permanent residency in such a short time, and based on a very strict but very clear and very transparent conditions. So the fast track permanent residency, the time is just 2 months. It is very important that with this type of immigration permit, you don't need to permanently reside in Cyprus, but of course you need to come to Cyprus at least 1 day every 2 years. And we can see that this program is very popular in cases when people consider it as plan B, or consider it as part of their retirement plan, or part of education for the family. So they can secure this immigration permit, and then whenever they are ready, they will move to Cyprus. What is extremely important is that the permit covers whole family. In Cyprus, we have very strong family ties, so it's important that the whole family can be together. So Cyprus fast track permanent residency covers investor and the spouse of investor, children up to the age of 25, provided that they're dependent children, which means that they're still studying. And also it covers parents of both investor and the spouse of investors. So just with one permit, you cover all 3 generations. There are no direct tax consequences unless you choose to have consequences. And I will discuss it a little bit later, because the tax system is so efficient that it becomes one of the main reasons why citizens of European and non-European Union choose Cyprus as their tax residency place. There is possibility to be naturalized as Cypriot, meaning that after you have this permit for 8 years and after you live in the country for 5 years, you will be able to submit application to get the citizenship. And the process doesn't involve any medical or any language tests. As I mentioned before, the Cyprus is the only country that gives permanent residency forever. It's not temporary residence that you need to renew. This is the permanent residency cards that are given to all the family. Last year, we added one more benefit, which again proved to be very popular and very useful, because unfortunately, I think that we all experienced unprecedented scenario last year when all countries closed down. And actually, lots of people were doing permanent residency application so they can come to Cyprus and move the family there and protect them from the current waves and from new waves. Because even when Cyprus was locked down, if you have permanent residency, you had special permit to come to Cyprus and without any restrictions. And the whole process, application and the process, can be completed 100% remotely. So only at the very final stage, when you need to receive your card, you need to come to Cyprus to give biometrics data. As I mentioned before, this fast track category is an investment category. Okay, this is actually there are many countries in the world that have similar programs, and the program is very straightforward. The investor brings some direct foreign capital in the country, and they confirm that they plan either to reside or keep these assets in the country. And in return, the government provides the fast-track permanent residency because they're interested to bring active people, they're interested to bring direct investment. So the investment criteria for the fast-track program is the investment of the minimum amount of 300,000 euros plus VAT when applicable. And just a couple of months ago, the program was changed. Before, it was the only investment route was investment in residential properties. Now we have opportunity to add additional routes. The first, and I would say the most popular route, is still the investment or in the residential properties. Under this scheme, you can invest in 1 or 2 units, residential units, where the total value is 300 plus VAT. It's also possible now to invest into commercial properties. For residential route, the properties have to be first sale because the government wants to support construction industry. So this route is with the primary properties, with the first sale from developers. When we invest in commercial or other type of properties, then again we have 300,000, but it can be resale option as well. Since this year, it is possible to invest in the share capital of the company, provided that the company is registered in Cyprus and it has physical presence and it has staff. It needs to have at least 5 employees. And additional route, there are investment in Cyprus investment funds, provided that they are registered. For route number 2, 3, and 4, it is also necessary to provide either the rental agreement or the sale agreement for residential property, confirming that you have place to stay, that you have place of residency in Cyprus. The process is very simple. It's either online or offline consultation. Then we select the investment, submit application, approval of application. Normally it takes about 2 months, but with COVID, sometimes it goes up to 3.5 months. And then you have 1 year to visit Cyprus to submit biometrics. As I mentioned earlier, now you can get special permit to come to Cyprus, even if your country is in the gray or red area, if you're coming to submit biometrical data, and you can receive permanent residency cards. The list of documents is extremely easy. Again, just passport, CV, marriage certificate, children birth certificate. It's very important to provide original criminal record to show that you have clean criminal record, and documents to prove annual income. I have to mention that for non-Europeans moving to Cyprus, you cannot be employed unless you get a special work permit. But with a fast track, you can be a director of your own company and get benefits from it. You also need to show titles of ownership and bank SWIFT for the payment of the purchase price. You need to prove that money came from abroad. And here I need to also bring your attention to the fact that all banks now, regardless of nationality of buyer, will be asking to provide documents that will show proof of funds. So when we do our private consultations with potential investors, we would always ask you, please confirm that you have documents that can prove source of funds. The cost of this process, you need to consider legal fees of the immigration and property lawyer. That would be around 1% of the property value. And this includes the property deal and the permanent applications procedure. For every property sale, there is a stamp duty, but the amount is minimal. It's just 0.15%, of the property value. And you will be required to have a health insurance per person. The basic coverage is about 170 euros per person per year. So here we prepared the breakdown of costs in case that you go for this route. There are also other immigration permits that can be considered if time is not an essence, if you can wait or there is no urgency and you do not want to go with the investment of 300,000 plus. If you don't want to go with the investment of 300,000 plus, then you can go for category F permit. And there you will need to prove that you have an annual income. You will need to show that you have a reason to stay in Cyprus, and this reason could be either property, there could be education of children, etc., etc. Examination of category F application takes from 12 to 18 months, and also very important that it doesn't cover you forever, especially it doesn't cover the children forever. So you can add the spouse and children up to the age of 18, but as soon as children turn 18, they lose their PR status, and they will not be able to resubmit under the same investment. They will need to provide a separate investment. As I mentioned earlier, the examination process takes from 12 to 18 months. During this time, it's not allowed to stay in Cyprus, but it's possible to have a temporary residence permit while you're waiting for PR card. And there is also a last category, which is temporary residence application as a visitor. If you come and you can prove again that you have income from abroad, you have funds that you can deposit in the current bank or in Cyprus bank. If you can prove that there is a reason for you to be in Cyprus, then you can submit this type of permit, which will allow you to stay legally in Cyprus. Because from most countries, you cannot stay in Cyprus more than 3 months every 180 days. And even for tax residency, you need to have more. Now I can see the comment in the chat about taxes, and actually I'm moving to the tax slide. And of course, everything depends with what country you compare. But for majority of European countries, Cyprus has amazing tax benefits. And once again, it's not an offshore country, it's a fully clean jurisdiction with very transparent tax system. I'm not a tax advisor, but I will just mention the most important points. The first one is the reason why we can see influx of residents from Northern Europe, because we all know that in many countries, personal tax is very high. In Cyprus, we have so-called non-domicile taxation for new residents. So imagine that you decide that you want to come to Cyprus and you want to become a tax resident. Here I need to mention, because you need to understand that how you become a tax resident in Cyprus. To become a tax resident in Cyprus, the main rule is to spend 183 days per year in Cyprus. So every year you need to spend 183 days in Cyprus. The rest you can spend in your country. And in this case, you can get the non-domicile tax regime, which means that for the 17 years, you get 0% on your passive income. We have zero property tax. We have 0% inheritance tax, which again, compared to many countries abroad, is amazing. The pension tax is only 5%. Again, if you move to Cyprus and if you spend more than 183 days, you can pay 5% on your property tax. On your pension tax. The reason why many companies are moving to Cyprus is the corporate tax. The corporate tax is only 12.5%, and for many industries, such as IT industry, the tax is even lower. Again, I want to stress that I am not a tax advisor, but should you wish to find out more about taxes, we work close with the best tax advisors on the island, and we will be happy to arrange consultation. Now, let's talk a little bit about real estate. I will not go into details. I just want, and I believe that it's important to understand where we are with the property cycle. So you will all receive this presentation and you can check these figures in more details, or you can book a free consultation with our expert where we will cover these in more details. But you can see that starting from in 2013, we have a big drop. And since 2013, the real estate market was rising. What I find amazing and what shows resilience of Cyprus real estate market are the figures of 2020. 2020, we still show better results than 2015, 2016, which were very good years. And when we look at the first statistics from the Land Registry Department, the beginning of the year was very promising. The market started, there is lots of activity with the local buyers and with the foreign buyers as well. In Cyprus, we only have 5 districts. And here I put a slide just to show what is the percentage distribution. The most popular area is Limassol. Then we have our capital Nicosia, and then we have Paphos, Larnaca, and Famagusta. If we look at the distribution between foreign buyers, then of course the picture will be different. Foreign buyers tend to go towards the sea. So foreigners don't really buy in Nicosia unless it's an investment, and they buy to rent out and have a long-term rental income. When we look distribution between foreigners, then Paphos is number 1, Limassol number 2, followed by Larnaca, Famagusta, and the last one is Nicosia. If we look at what determines the price, because I think it's the most difficult question and the most vital question, what can I buy for my money? And why property in one area is more expensive, or why one property is 500,000 and property next to it is 200,000. So I put a small slide to show what to pay attention when you choose a property, or what are the price determining factors. The first, of course, is the location. Limassol is the most expensive city. Ayanapa, Protaras or Famagusta area, they are least expensive. Center of the city will always be more expensive than the suburbs. The most expensive areas would always be walking distance to the sea, and the benchmark is about 15 minutes. So if the walking distance to the sea is 15 minutes, this is considered to be high liquidity asset. Apartments and houses, it's a personal choice. This is what you need, what you like, what you want. The quality of houses changed a lot. And of course, since Cyprus joined European Union, the standards of construction improved a lot. As I mentioned earlier, I've been in real estate market for the last 20 years, and I'm so happy to see the improvement in the quality of construction. Mainly, it is connected with energy efficiency and also with insulation and, of course, the quality of materials. It's important to pay attention to the amenities. Now we have more and more properties and projects with club infrastructure, where we have playgrounds, gyms, spas, swimming pools, sometimes even internal swimming pool, etc. When you buy apartments, it's important to pay attention who is managing the common areas. And of course, clean legal status. It's important to mention who and how is the status of the property, but this is in a way our job. You will only see properties that have been checked and rechecked by our legal department to confirm that everything is clean. I will only show you a glimpse of properties just to understand what you can get, and this selection we were preparing for the permanent residency of the fast track. So you will see that they're all more or less within 300,000 mark. But you can get a 3-bedroom apartment in Nicosia. Very spacious, fantastic rental value. You can get a 2-bedroom apartment in Limassol. Amazing value, very high rental potential, a personal use. In Larnaca, this is a seafront apartment, so it's a little bit higher in value, but you have amazing sea view and very high liquidity of the property. In Paralimni, you will get a detached new house, 3-bedroom with a garden and with a swimming pool. And this is the property right on the sea in Paphos. Before I move to questions and before I move to answering the questions and taking more questions, I want you to look at the checklist that we have for whenever we have individual consultations with our buyers. And these are very important questions that you need to ask yourself. You need to ask yourself, why do I want or why do I consider investment in Cyprus? What are the reasons? Based on these questions, our experts will be able to provide you with a short list of properties to fine-tune the selection of properties that fit your specific requirements. And the first question is always the purpose of the purchase. What is it? Do you plan to move to Cyprus? Do you plan to retire in Cyprus? Do you want to use it as a summer house by the sea and rent it when you're not using it? Do you want to move business? Do you want to move your family? Do you want to take the tax advantages? So these are the questions that are important from your side, because based on these, we will be able to assist you in the most efficient way. If you know Cyprus, then we would always ask, what is your preferred area? Because funny enough, even though the island is so small and there are only 5 districts, each district has very specific energy. Each district has very specific type of clientele and very specific potential. It's important to identify your budget and whether it will be your funds or you will consider getting mortgage in Cyprus for part of the investment. What property type you would prefer? Is it apartment, townhouse, or detached house? And of course, we always recommend to think about lifestyle. And by lifestyle, we mean the sort of the grouping of properties, if I may say that. Let's say if maybe you want to be by the sea, or you want to have city apartment, or you want to have unobstructed sea views, or you like golf lifestyle. So again, all these points will definitely help us with answering with helping you better. So that was it from the presentation. And now we can go to questions and answers. And I hope that I will be able to assist you. Let me just start with questions, and please keep putting your questions to be able to, so I can answer. Okay, so citizenship after 8 years. Also, if you're visiting one day every 2 years, no. Citizenship after 8 years is only when you physically stay in Cyprus. And that's why there are several criteria. The first, that you have this permit for 8 years, and that when we add up all the days that you spent in Cyprus, cumulatively, you will get 5 years. And the last year, you will need to stay in Cyprus permanently. This is the rules that we have now. Okay. Next question, is there a cost for fast track permit? Yes, and I covered it in presentation, and you will see it in more details. And when we have our, hopefully our consultation, we will be able to provide more information. How often should I renew the card? The permanent residency is given forever. Okay, there is a lot of places no good to live here. I believe that it's all relevant, and if you compare with the European countries, then the tax regime in Cyprus is amazing. What is minimum annual income pension for temporary residence application? I believe that we cover it in our presentation, and let me just confirm. 1 second. Because for for temporary residency, there is no just direct rule. It's just that they say that you need to show at least 10,000, and basically it's just to cover that it's enough to sustain yourself in Cyprus without working. But for pension, it's slightly different. So I would prefer that I mentioned these 10,000 euros, but we can advise you after confirming with immigration lawyers, just to know for 100%. A question from Michael: which city is recommended for investment studio, or 2 rooms? I think the question will be here, do you plan to use it by yourself at all, or whether it will be permanently rented out? Because if you plan to use it and let's say use it for personal use 3-4 months a year and the rest to rent out, then I would recommend to go by the sea, either Paphos or Limassol or Larnaca. If you plan not to use it at all, then I would say Nicosia, Paphos, and Limassol, they provide now best rental options. What is the biggest difference between Greece and Cyprus when buying a property? That's a very interesting question. And even though historically and traditionally Cyprus and Greece, they're quite similar, the difference between the legal systems is huge. In Cyprus, everything is based on British legal system, so everything is transparent. The land registry, the processes are simple, the contracts of sale, from what is my experience with Greece, is a little bit different there. And of course, every country has their own pluses and minuses. So I would say that here, it's not about buying property. I would say it's more about what country you prefer, Greece or Cyprus. Okay, what is the health system in Cyprus? Now we have actually the new system of health insurance, which covers all the residents of Cyprus, including people with the immigration permits. And I would say that it is quite amazing. You know, in the beginning, when they were rolling it up, everyone was very skeptical. Will it work? Will it not work? But now we can see that it's actually working very well. It covers visits to the doctors, it covers hospitals, it covers vaccination, and in general, you have quite a vast selection of private clinics and governmental hospitals. So I would say that health system in Cyprus is pretty good. Is it obligatory to have health insurance? Katerina, if you proceed with a fast-track permanent residency, then yes, it is obligatory to have health insurance. But as I mentioned, you have again a choice. You can choose the policy which is best for your needs. Okay. My team posted some questions that we had during registrations, and I will do a little bit what is relevant and what we didn't cover. Regions for living, all 5 regions are amazing. I believe that in these presentations we covered real estate, healthcare, and life in Cyprus. Is there any scope to start business here? Of course. You know, I believe that Cyprus is becoming a Mediterranean hub for many startups. Because of pandemic, we also all witnessed the change where lots of people understand that they can actually work online. They don't need to be present in their physical office. They don't need to go to work. And we are seeing the big change. We're seeing lots of people moving to Cyprus while still working in the country of their origin. So they choose the lifestyle, but they still get money working and doing the work they have done. Cost of living and age criteria. Okay, I'm not sure what to answer about age criteria because in Cyprus, there is no age criteria. And actually, because Cyprus is such a healthy place, they always joke here. By the way, no joking aside, but Cyprus has one of the highest longevity age in Europe. And they joke that men live up to the age of 85 and women never die. So I believe that from that point of view, we do not have age criteria. Cost of living, I would say that if you have a family of, or let's say a family of 2 people, and if you own a property, and if you again go out maybe once or twice a week, I believe that with about 2,000 euros, you can be quite comfortable. What does it take to become a Cypriot citizen ASAP? You cannot become a Cypriot citizen ASAP. We covered that now you need to be 8 years with a residency permit, and then you can become a citizen of Cyprus. About real estate, which you can rent out. I'm currently not interested in living in Cyprus permanently. Cyprus is ideal for this investment because it's a tourist island. There is a demand for short-term rentals because so there is always an opportunity to earn good income by renting properties on a short-term basis, holiday rentals, and there are lots of companies who can assist. At the same time, we have lots of companies moving their personnel here, and they're interested in long-term rentals. For example, now in Limassol, it's very difficult to find long-term rentals because there are so many companies from Israel, from Russia, from UK, from Germany who moved to Cyprus. Land price is different in every area, and I think this is the question more for the private consultation. Any benefits on purchasing a property for 100,000 Ks? The benefit is that you can apply for a temporary residence, provided that you can prove that you have solid income that allows you to stay in Cyprus. Or if you don't want to stay in Cyprus, then you can purchase this property and rent it out. Can you take loans from local banks if you are not a EU citizen? Yes, you can, but the way the local banks are working now, that first they will need to check your profile, and then they will tell you how much money they will be able to give to you. But the short answer is yes, and we will be able to assist in this process as well. I really like this last part because there are many questions, and this is the difficulty in these webinars. When you don't see other participants, the questions is the only sign that people are there, that the information is useful, and that it is of interest. So I think now I want to thank everyone for your attention, for your participation. I also want to invite every participant to take an opportunity to have an individual consultation with our experts, where they will be happy to give you the personal attention, to go into details with your personal situation, with your questions, and hopefully it will give you a little bit more information and a bit of inspiration, at least to visit Cyprus. And I would like to invite you to Cyprus. It's a fantastic place. It's a beautiful island, and we will definitely be happy to assist you in this journey from A to Z. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments and for your words of gratitude in the chat. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye. Bye.